Let's just return to our top story now, the flight disruption across the UK after a technical issue at air traffic control. I'm joined now by Doug Maclean, Managing Director of DKM Aviation Partners, but a former senior manager at the Civil Aviation Authority and NATS, the National Air Traffic Service, the organisation which runs UK air traffic control. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. What on earth could have gone wrong here?
Well, the system is relatively straightforward in that it's made up of different components: radar, communications, data exchange, and humans themselves. So the most likely area is some sort of data exchange, because the airplanes were still flying, and when the issue happened, the first reaction of the air traffic control management was to stop all departures, which is a good way of limiting the amount of traffic you've got in the air, and then the aircraft that were in the air were allowed to proceed to their destinations and land. But it was an outage of perhaps an hour and a half, maybe even slightly more than that. And at the moment, we don't know what caused the outage.
But your suspicion is a technical failure rather than a human error, or a bit of both? What's your thought?
This is the problem. We're now 3 hours, 3.5 hours after the incident happened, and all we've got from NATS is a statement to say that there was a problem, they've identified it, they fixed it, and they're very sorry. Well, I'm sorry. There was a major failure about 18 months ago, and a very good committee of people sat down and looked at the problem and looked at how these issues were handled, and made some very, I thought, reasonable recommendations. And the major issue that passengers complain about is that they don't have up-to-date information. Now, if you don't have information as a news organisation, I don't have any information to talk about, and the passengers don't have any information, why are we sitting several hours after the incident has apparently been fixed and we don't know what the problem was? Poor communication there's no excuse for it in this day and age.
You talk about the previous failure, and you talk about recommendations after that. Do you know if those recommendations were acted upon? Do we have any information on that?
Well, I think if I was Heidi Alexander or whoever is responsible or going to be responsible for looking into this, ultimately, I'd be asking exactly that question. The recommendations that were made, as I say, seem to be very reasonable to me and actually very far-reaching. But I don't know. I haven't seen many of the recommendations being adopted, finished off. So there's certainly work to be done there. And thankfully, the issue did not get unsafe in any way at all. But that's no great compensation, I think, to the passengers who are going to be delayed for the rest of today and probably even tomorrow.
Well, just putting your civil aviation hat on and delays, how long do you think these delays could extend, given that, as you say, it was a fairly brief interruption, but, for passengers, fairly catastrophic one?
Yeah, well, we're in the middle. I mean, NATS themselves put out their own statement a couple of weeks ago to say that we were in the middle of the summer season and that things were going swimmingly well, and they were. It's a very complex system to run, but when it goes wrong and you have to stop all departures, you can't just simply pick them up and simply say everything. You can all go, you can all depart whenever you're ready. I mean, flights will already have been cancelled. Airplanes will be, crews will be running out of hours. Airports will be closing at some point later on this evening. So this disruption will go on not only for the rest of this evening, but into tomorrow as well, and possibly even longer. And that's the unfortunate side effect of an incident like this. It may only be an hour or an hour and a half of disruption, but the passengers will be affected for many hours to come.
And just finally, there was this air traffic control failure today. There was the fire at the substation, closing Heathrow for, I can't remember how many hours, almost 24 hours, I think it was. And, you know, what does this say about our airport infrastructure?
Well, NATS is not the airport infrastructure. This is the en route service, and there are two air traffic control centres in the UK. The one in Prestwick here in Scotland didn't seem to be affected, and the one in Swanwick near Southampton was the one that was affected. So it's separate from the airports and a completely separate company that runs it. But we do have to be aware that investment is always needed. I don't think there's been a criticism of the investment that NATS have been making. It's just the management of systems and the management of failures when you get a problem like this, which is, I think, reprehensible.
OK, appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. Thank you.